I I wish it was easier for more people to understand, like the folks that, like myself, I have 4 kids, and I don't know how many other folks out. I know a couple of you out there. You have like 2 or 3, and I know you're kind of in the same boat. And uh, see, trying to explain everything to your kids about kind of what's unfolding, and there's just a lot of stuff happening. And I'm old enough to have seen what has happened before, and I'm old enough to remember, each each situation that's unfolded to make chaos and what came after that. Now, my kids will sit there with me. I know this sounds completely ridiculous, but my kids will sit there with me and we'll be watching TV. Now, I use an antenna, and the antenna is picks up cable networks. I'll sit and watch, and the kids, we'll put something on. It could be Family Feud or something, right? Just coming up with something here. So you're putting something on TV, and the commercials are like for weight loss, Ozempic or something dealing with diabetes, or something dealing with irritable bowel syndrome, or you know, so, all of the commercials are that. It's either that or it's cars. Buy a new car, buy a new car. And my kids will ask me, like, what was it like when you were growing up? Because it sounds like everyone's dying. They're all on these medications. And I said, well, kid, you need to think, like, thinking back. When I think back to like what they showed on TV, I mean, it would have been like, you might have seen like Kraft mac and cheese, or you might have seen like the new toys that were coming out, or the rock crawling panther remote control with the claws that come out of the tires. I can't remember the name of that thing, but or the Skippo or something. You put it on your leg and you skip, and it counts to your skips. And I remember a lot of that stuff, like the interesting candies, the interesting foods, stuff that doesn't exist anymore. It's long gone. And but I don't remember. I mean, it's like you would see like, oh, hi dear, hi honey, try Folgers. You would have all these types of commercials on TV. But now, when you turn on your antenna version style TV, like you would back in the day, all you get is medications, and side effects. Side effects may cause death. Side effect causes you to poop till you can't poop no more. Dysentery. All the different. And my kids are seeing this stuff, and they're like, Dad, what was it like? And so we didn't have all that. And I don't remember people being so unhealthy. I don't remember people dying, gaining so much weight. I don't remember my friends. Putting on that much weight when we were younger. But it wasn't because we were young, but the people around me, the older people, your parents, for example. I don't remember that happening to them as we were growing up. And in that, now I look around, I'm like, good Lord, what has happened? I mean, and it comes, I was explaining to my kids, and well, how do you steer away from that, Dad? Well, the only thing you can do to steer away from that is, healthy eating correctly. And, you eat foods that are not processed and garbage. And so, well, how, is there any places you can go out to eat? That's another question. Kids have a lot of questions. It's interesting when they ask all the questions. It's like, well, Dad, well, what place is out in town? You know, I said, about the only good thing to eat out in town is probably a salad. And that's probably not even that great. The only way it would be healthy is if you didn't add salad dressing. But I wanted to share that because it is that little, I just want to share it a little bit because it is an eye opener to see the difference between the generations and now what my kids are having to see. And oh, guys, there's way worse stuff. I mean, I'm trying to explain a lot of stuff to my kids. I mean, I can't just relate it to them, but you know, uh, we were discussing stuff. It's like, you know, I think a kid was talking about a stuffed animal or something. Well, it's only $20, and she said, "It's only $20." I said, kid, $20 is a big deal to someone that, you know, kids get an allowance. They work for me. They take care of the animals and stuff. They work hard. So uh, it's not like they get an allowance. They don't do anything. It doesn't work that way around here. But my kids have to work, and you know, they cut grass. They actually use a ride lawnmower. They mow. They push mow. They weed eat. I've got my own work crew. It's crazy. But in the end, they get an allowance. And, you know, sometimes, you know, I intervene on what they want to spend their money on. I'm like, nah, you shouldn't do that. You know, but it's wasteful. It's wasteful. And it goes to explaining to them, you know, other people are struggling. There's folks out there struggling. They can't afford the basic stuff. And there's a lot of people that are out of work and work slow right now, like even for like construction, building stuff. All these things are collapsing, and we're not producing as much, and they don't need as many employees because people aren't buying anything, and a lot of things are starting to slump into that. And you need to think about that. You should say for the future. I mean, I've even got a kid that wants to collect silver, and so they're collecting copper. It's like, well, because it's like my kids are asking me about precious metals. You need to think about this stuff. If a kid's asking you those questions, you should think about that too. And the my kids are asking questions like that, like what, like, Dad, does copper ever go up? Yeah, a little bit. About each year, it's gone up quite a bit this year. So what was it at like last year? I look it up. Can I get some copper? Sure you can. Get some copper. Go ahead. It's like I want to get silver. Okay. Well, if you want to get some silver, go ahead. My kids are doing that stuff because I'm just showing them what's going on out there. And I was like, you see what happens? And my kids have sat with me through election times. Here's another one. I wanted to share this. Elections. You notice every time before there's an election, they start to balance out the fuel. The cost of fuel starts to kind of go down. You notice that? It's kind of like a pot of boiling water, you know, for frogs. You just gradually turn the heat up. After elections, they'll start cranking that heat up, and everyone will start boiling again. They do that to kind of get some of the pressure off. They do that sometimes to adjust your picture of everything as everything's kind of okay. The world is on fire. You won't notice it though, because you're just like, everything's just everything's doing all right. It's okay. I've kind of explained it to my kids as well. I'm not trying to make this about my kids, but they have just been really interacting in this stuff because it's getting crazy. It's not me. I mean, it's like I watch the evening news. Now I put it on the evening news, and it's just gotten really one-sided. And I know I've pointed it out a couple of times. I'm like, that is awful. It's all one-sided. It's all one-sided news. No matter where you go. Does not matter what channel you flip it on. It is all one-sided. It's a shame. It really is. And I'm watching this stuff. I'm like, gosh, really? People are buying this? That is baloney. That is baloney. And then I'm like, well, I can't watch anymore. So in the evenings, I've gotten to the point where I don't even put that stuff on anymore. I try to stay away from that crap because it's all really one-sided. And anything with project in it, Project Lincoln Project or any of those are all very liberal. I try to steer away from all that crap. But the fuel, then you'll start seeing a lot of school shootings. That's another thing my kids get concerned about stuff like that. Can that happen to us? You know, kind of thing. It's like, there's so many pranks. These kids are getting together and they're posting this crap and they're pranking about like getting people to think that there's actually something going on and there's not, making these fake videos and stuff. And just to scare a bunch of people. Well, in our state, they get felony convictions for it. So, I mean, in the past, I guess like the past month, I mean, we've already witnessed like 20 convictions, 20 new convicted felons from some videos that they wanted to share, pretending that people were dying. So it's a shame, man. That's what the word. That's another thing I was telling my kids to get. My kids don't have phones. They don't have cell phones. You know what I mean? They don't have smartphones as you were. We use like the rapid radios. Me and the kids, we all talk through rapid radios. We like to do that. But for emergencies, they can contact me through the radio. And I keep a home box. It's a home version of the rapid radio I keep on all the time. I'm not trying to advertise for them. I'm just telling you what I do. In case any of you have the same idea, you want to do that. But I have a home station. It's the base station for them. I keep it on all the time. And any of them just get on there. Hey, Dad, I need your help. Like, yeah, what do you want, kid? You know, but the phones have gotten so bad. Kids have just completely lost touch. They just completely lost touch. They don't know how to pick up a basketball and dribble it. They throw a baseball. You know, people, they're like, that's going to be there. I mean, there's only like a small percentage of them that are participating in activities that doesn't involve this. There's a small percentage of them. And those groups are going to go on to do great things. We all know that. Getting a kid a phone and letting them take that to school with them every day, and the kind of content that they look up is awful. The stuff that they look up, the stuff that they're on. My kids, multiple grade levels, by the way. My kids tell me about the kids that are on those smartphones all the time and the kind of stuff that they're looking at and how inappropriate that stuff is. And it's like, oh man, you know, that stuff's awful. Like, the stuff that they tell me about that those kids are looking at, they're trying to show it to everyone in class. Oh, you got to share with the rest of them. You know what I mean? And it's getting to the point now. It's like, it makes you wonder. I mean, all the evils you're exposing that kid to, and then they get older, and then they do those sorts of evil things, and they think it's okay because Mom, Dad got me a phone. And obviously it's okay to do those sorts of things, but it's not. Commodities. I wanted to talk about this real quick before I get off here. I like to do this to kind of decompress. I still make these videos for, you know, just to decompress, get stuff off my chest. Been doing this for, 10 years now. It's crazy. So, commodities. I saw some more blurps, and you might want to pay attention. There's a reason why I accumulate things. I don't do it like, hey, look, there's another product for sale. You're all going to die, but there's another product for sale. I collect items because commodities is about to collapse. It's really going to collapse. I don't need to make the video. I think people are starting to see it. China government with their stock market fiasco the other day. probably not good. Japan, stock market fiasco, not very good. Not going well. That's not helping commodities either. People are trying to stack their yins and yangs all over the place to try and stop it. Currency. I'm not meaning the act. But no, they're trying to get these lanes in place to try and stop it. They're turning on printing machines. The Fed doing their 50% ordeal. That ain't got nothing. That's not helping none. You don't do that when there's already inflation. You don't do that without bringing down inflation. You would have done zero. You wouldn't have done any cuts. You would have just kept it, because you don't do that before an election either. That's all one-sided garbage as well. Look at the economy. What did I tell you about fuel prices a while ago? Everything's great, and it's not great. That's actually bad. But you don't cut the rates right when there's still inflation, because you'll cut rates, and then they'll probably cut them again next year or something, and it's just going to come trickling right back up. It's probably, I think it actually already is. I haven't really paid much attention to that. I'm just kind of watching what all the other countries are up to at the moment. And I'm trying to pay attention to make sure we don't get a nuclear football tossed around. Just trying to keep your eye out for stuff like that. But the commodities ordeal, people are going to start printing. We're firing up the printers again, printing money, and going to pretend the economy's okay. Everything's going great, but it's not. Jobs are slumping. There's no work. Nobody's making anything. People are going to have this false sense. They might even go buy a bunch of junk and run their credit card bills up. But that kind of goes with that. When you start putting this false aspect of everything's okay and it's not, and it starts to slump. But I stock up on stuff because of what is soon to happen, and things I might need when everything shuts down. It gets to the point where you just can't go out and get a lot of things. Mostly I focus on tools. Tools are the most important. Being able to fix and do stuff is very important. If you can't do any of that stuff, that's why I try to, I got another generator coming. I'm going to show you guys. That's another thing I wanted to show you guys. Dual fuel generator. I need to show you guys. You need to wait for this, because it's the deal of a century for you guys if any of you need a generator. So just hold up for a minute and let me show you one that you can actually get pretty dirt cheap. So we'll just see how good that thing is. We're going to beat on it for a little bit. But trying to get all this stuff done now before something happens, it's a big rush. It always is a big rush. And but seeing it all unfold, because after the elections, either the coin tosses, it either lands on heads or tails, and that'll determine which direction everything's going to go. And we could be leading into a total nightmare, because we already have Venezuelan gangs that are outnumbering and taking over Chicago gangs, which is crazy to think of. You've got that Diddy conspiracy ordeal. Like the P. Diddy thing is whoa. Anyone who had a party with P. Diddy is probably a disgusting pig, but just so you know. He's probably going to get Epsteined. Just watch. They've already got him on suicide watch. Just want to throw that out there. There's that type of ordeals going on, and once that unfolds, right, it would be after the elections by the time you actually start hearing. Either he doesn't get Epsteined and it all unfolds and the elections are over and none of that stuff is even going to get touched with a 10-foot pole. If one other person wins the election, you think they're going to talk about it? And you think anybody's going to do anything about it? You know what I mean? It's just, I mean, we've all known. So what are we going to do about it exactly? And the Hunter Biden thing, the cocaine in the White House ordeal, all the other topics, it's like whatever. They just keep going and going and going. It's piling up. I mean, in the Obama administration, there was cocaine in the White House. Anybody remember that? I do, but nobody. But if it, anyone else, heaven forbid, it would be like an ice cream truck driving around. There's cocaine in the White. You know what I mean? Anyways, that's all I got. I just want this to be kind of just thought provoking. So for any of you out there, talk to your kids. Don't rely on them to learn on their own. I pull my kids to the side a lot, and I have a lot of talks with my kids. My kids work with me. I'm currently building a gigantic fence. It's huge. I've already tacked down about 200 T-posts driven by hand, not with a machine. I did have an auger, which tools help. I did have an auger for the round beams, the round post. That helped. Did a lot of barbed wire and did a lot of fencing. And we're doing electric fence now. And my kids have been there every step of the way, watching and learning and knowing how to do this stuff with their own little hands. So they have an understanding of it. And they've helped out the entire way with building this fence. And they haven't been old enough to do that yet. And now they're finally old enough where they can do it and learn. And I don't know. I think I'm starting to kind of reflect, look back. And I just want to share with you guys kind of just from raising kids. So for those of you that don't raise kids or have already raised your kids and you're grandparents by now, and you probably have grandkids you need to share your knowledge with, just want to pass the word around, kind of what I'm experiencing. But anyways, that's all I got. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Please share. Please hit that like button. Hit the bell reminder and share with your buddies that need thought provoking, I guess. Anyways, but God bless. Take care and stay safe.